Hello, I'm Drew Christiansen. I'm the editor-in-chief of America Magazine, and I want to talk with you this afternoon about the ethics of nuclear policy in relationship to the events that have taken place these last couple of weeks and will continue to go on through May in the area of control of nuclear weapons. In Prague last week, President Obama and President Medvedev of the Soviet Union signed a new START treaty, that is a strategic arms reduction treaty, which will reduce the armed weapons to about 1,500 on each side, which is a real improvement. The U.S. and Russia have also in the last week agreed to reduce their highly enriched uranium and plutonium stockpiles by 68,000 tons apiece, or 68,000 tons total, I think. That will reduce the amount of nuclear material that would be available for bomb makers in the future. And this week, of course, President Obama also hosted a meeting for leaders of 47 countries, which came to agreement on controlling nuclear materials and keeping them from terrorists, with some countries actually signing off their nuclear materials to the U.S. for protection and then eventual elimination. So the world has seen some interesting steps towards disarmament in these last weeks. At the same time, there's significant steps that haven't been taken. One is that in the Nuclear Posture Review, another event of the last couple of weeks, the U.S. did not make what has long been asked of it, that is no first strike policy with respect to nuclear weapons. Although it said it would use weapons basically to deter for any nation which is a member of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, a formulation that eliminates protection for Iran and also for North Korea. It didn't make a generic pledge of no first use. And for those of us like the Catholic Church who are concerned with maintaining the integrity of the ethic of nuclear deterrence. Nuclear deterrence is morally justifiable only as a deterrent and not in use, and without a no first use policy. The U.S. is really putting itself out there saying, well, we might possibly use nuclear weapons in an aggressive way or preemptive way or in a retaliatory way. Also, another area that needs to be clarified by both the U.S. and the Russians is the area of tactical nuclear weapons. These are weapons that were designed for the battlefield, and the military themselves say they're really not useful because if you set off a nuclear weapon in the battlefield, you're engaging your troops, if not immediately, well then when they need to cross that line to engage the other side. And so we know that these are not usable by military in open combat, but they would be useful for terrorists. So the failure to lock down and eliminate those weapons of those field-grade weapons is a very important step towards preventing nuclear terrorism. I think finally, and President Obama and others have averted to this, there is a very real problem with the multiplicity of sources of uranium production. Presently, 9 states in the Arab world are engaged in developing or have plans to develop their own nuclear power plants. Well, the power plants will have residual fuel that can then be recycled into highly enriched uranium and plutonium for bomb-making purposes. And so the world gets more and more fragile. And so without a system that controls the production of nuclear materials, there's an increased risk of nuclear terrorism, something that we really need to confront. And so initiatives that really show that the U.S. is firmly determined to tie its own hands with respect to nuclear weapons will be important to giving incentives to other countries to tying their hands in the production and the use of nuclear materials, in particular Pakistan, which already has been a proliferator and which has declared its intention to rapidly produce more nuclear material. Again, this is Drew Christiansen commenting for America Magazine. I hope you'll be willing to join us again when we have our next video feature.